I'm retro. Let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. Yeah, it's lit in the chop shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based to debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30, let's do it first take. On Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Claude Ray, Skip Bayless and Stephen Smith. From on the court, off the court, straight to the field. Not a man that steals, but I made it steal. To the octagon where I fight to kill. We go face to face, then you write your will. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the floor, I attack the basket. Put you in the casket when I'm overlapping. Never showing mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never showing mercy when I'm in the arena. Step into the ring, he hit me as I beat him. Step into the court, I'm never backing down. Killing competition, I'm smacking down. Let me get back to the other stuff at the chop shop, cause they cutting up. It's retro, coming to you live to the chop shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah, we in the chop shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the chop shop live from 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop.
H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, but we're broadcasting all over the entire world via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And guess what? What a weekend. What a weekend. We have a bunch of sports to talk about today. For once, we can feel like it's a little normal on this Memorial Day edition of the Chop Shop. We have special guests today, and we will talk to you. We'll talk to two of the best coaches in college basketball today. Literally, two of the best. Before we get into this, Jimmy, I just want to say, it's Memorial Day, and I know it doesn't feel like a regular Memorial Day in this pandemic world, but I understand that these times are difficult. And for everybody, this is going to be a particular strange day for some people, Jimmy, that are used to cooking out, going to big events, hanging out, and in a world where so many are physically distancing. So I just want to say, remember what the day is about, y'all. Let's remember the importance of the day and find a moment of joy in that. This is a Memorial Day. This is a day to honor so many people who have given so much to this country and to get us where we at now. So many people in my family, people in your family, and we will try to find a little bit of normal through it all today. So, and I got some, Jimmy, and I want to share some with you on another note. It's so rarely do you get some that has a lot of expectations and it exceeds them in every conceivable way. You know how people, Jimmy, you got to go see this dude. You got to go see this guy. You got to go see this guy. And then you get there and you like, but Jimmy, that golf match this weekend, unbelievable. The hype was there. The message was there. Brady was terrible in the beginning. Jimmy, everybody was having fun at his expense. Charles Barkley, Jimmy, the worst golfer on the planet, talking about Brady, I'm going to give you some strokes. Brady didn't like that, Jimmy. Brady said, look here, man, I've been focusing on football, man. I've been working out trying to get my football team right. Jimmy, the exact next shot, he holed out from 155 yards out. Tom Brady did. Let me tell you something about these GOATs and these top athletes. Brady was stinking the place up. He was looking like Jimmy Hicks on the golf course. Jimmy, once Tom, because you can hear everything the commentator said. Charles Barkley happened to be a commentator. Everything the commentator says, Jimmy, you can hear it in his ear. And he said, Charles Barkley started talking crazy. The guy's next shot, he holed out from 155 yards out. Unbelievable, Jimmy. I just had a great weekend.
So I have a question.
Okay.
As bad as Charles Barkley may be in golf, on yesterday, if Barkley would have been on that course playing and Tom Brady shot the same card that he shot, would that game, mind you, including that good shot for me, would he still have beat Barkley?
Nah. I mean, Barkley would no. Hold on, slow down. He'd still beat Barkley.
No.
Jimmy, he would have still beat Barkley. I played with him. He would have still beat Barkley, Jimmy. Barkley just talks. Jimmy, all right, okay, perfect example. Since you don't understand, I happened to caddy for Charles Woodson at the Accenture Golf Tournament in Lake Tahoe. Charles Barkley, the last group is the worst group. Charles Barkley was in the last group of anybody, and I got a chance to watch him, and I understand why he in the last group. And let me help you. That course that they played on, the medalists, is one of the hardest pros. Bruce Koepka, Tiger Woods have problems on that course. Tom Brady just didn't bring his A game that day. And guess what? And he made putts at the end of the game to bring it closer. So my answer is no. Charles Barkley couldn't have beat him on that day, on that course. Now,
you just brought up an instance with Charles Barkley, and you yourself have said that in golf, day to day, any day, that them balls can be acting right and they can be acting wrong. They can be hanging left, they can be hanging right. You just said that. So I'm just saying, based on Tom Brady, I'm not saying that's Tom Brady every day, but based on what he on the game, the entire 18 holes, that was not expected.
I think you missed something. I think you missed something. I said on that particular course, Jimmy Hicks, every course is different. Hear me again. That's one of the hardest golf courses anybody on the planet gonna ever play on, the medalists. The hardest. Everybody said, Rob, that course beat me up. Somebody had 106 on that course the other day. Peyton Manning was good in spots, but he wasn't much better. He was good in spots. Charles Barkley can't, let me tell you something. Charles Barkley can't mess with nobody about their golf game. I just wanted to share that with you. Nobody.
But where I come from normally, and it's not nothing to do with golf, it's just about the concept of betting. And when I grew up, it was, during street racing was commonplace on my side of town. Every Friday night, every Saturday night, that somebody's gonna be having their street stock cars. They're gonna bring them on and they're gonna get it on. Well, one of the things was on the cars. It didn't matter sometimes what was up under the motor. It mattered who was driving at the same time. If a certain person would say, I'm going to give you 3-4 cars. That means car lengths. I'm going to give you 5 cars, or I'm going to let you take off. That means automatically for me to offer you cars, that's already being understood that we couldn't race head up because I'm going to beat you head up. This dude said he would give Brady like 8-9 strokes.
I didn't hear 8-9 strokes. He just said stroke.
Something like that.
He just said, I would give you, was joking with him. Brady, let me tell you something. Soon as he said that, you didn't understand, Brady started playing better.
Yeah,
as soon as he said
I give you that, but I understand that. But then still though, normally if you say, that's me tell you how I give you 4 strokes. if your automatic rebuttal at any point in time when you get in front of a live mic, you're gonna say, hold on, by the way, let's address this right now.
Jim, golf.
I don't need no strokes from you.
Jim, let me help you out. And you can take it however you want to. Take this from a seasoned golfer. Golf is different from stock car racing.
Talking about the sport, but the concept of spotting somebody, that's handicap.
Golf is okay. I got you. But golf is one of the most mentally demanding games you ever gonna play. You're not depending on no car and whether the car can go fast.
Heather, you talk. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the concept of betting. It ain't got nothing to do with the sport.
But Jimmy, my fault is I'm arguing with a person who don't play golf. So let's go to the next story.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. I'm talking about the concept of making a bet. If you're going to handicap somebody,
who bet?
That means you're evening it up.
Excuse me, Jimmy. He didn't bet.
He
didn't bet.
I'm telling you about the concept. He offered. You're
trying to tell me something about something I already know. Let me help you a little bit further. Hold up. Let me help you a little bit further. Hold up. Let me help you a little bit further. Bruce Koepka, okay, a pro golfer, during the same time that Tom Brady or Charles Barkley said, check this out, said that about Tom Brady. Bruce Koepka said, man, if you par a hole on this course, on this back nine, I'm going to donate $100,000 to the COVID relief. Right during the same time. And that man got up there and hit that shot. And guess what that shot was for? That shot was for a birdie. So he won that. So Tom Brady, on that same play, made a shot that shut Charles Barkley's mouth up and got $100,000 to COVID relief. So guess what? That's the point I'm trying to make. My point I was trying to make, I don't know what point you was trying to make. My point is, great players, when you put them and they're back up against the wall, they respond. I see how great this guy, Tom Brady, and how great he is. Because guess what? I've never did that. A lot of pros can't do that and answer just like that. One of the most dramatic, surprising shots that I've ever seen. And I've been playing this game for a long, long time.
I understand that part. That part is I was talking about.
Well, that's the part I'm trying to explain.
But we understand that. I'm talking about something else. I'm saying, once again, if we playing basketball and I offer you, we going to 10, and I offer you 4 points, that's saying understandable. That's insinuating that you need them 4 points just to make this game good. I've seen some guys on the street say, hey, man,
but in this case, your theory don't apply. Charles Barkley was just running his mouth.
No, hold on. How do we know he was running his mouth?
Charles Barkley, he knew he can't beat Tom Brady.
Time will tell if he was running his mouth. Now, he offered him strokes.
Jim, you didn't see it. You didn't see it. I see you didn't see it. Let's move on. Let's move on.
He offered him strokes. I found it in writing. He offered him strokes during the broadcast. That's why the people said you just missed it.
I listened to the broadcast.
And you missed it. That's all. He offered him strokes.
No. I listened to the broadcast, and I listened to it. I know exactly. He said I would give him strokes. You talking about 12 strokes? You were wrong.
I didn't say no 12 stroke. I said something like 8 or 9 or something like that. And I just threw a number out there. I know he offered him stroke. That's not the point. It could have offered him 1 stroke. The point is, if a person gives a person something, they're doing it to even it up. That means you insinuating.
I don't get it. I don't get your point. I don't get your point.
Well, speaking of leveling up, head up. This past weekend, you got a chance to play golf. You and Jolivet.
Jimmy,
last time y'all played.
Jolivet will never come on this radio show.
And last time y'all played.
Hold up. He got beat the last time. This time, he hit the scorecard. This time, I whooped him so bad. Coach Sampson should be on the air now. I beat this guy so bad. See, This similar guy called me out like Charles Barkley did Tom Brady. So now I'm trying to explain to you how golf works. Hold on. This particular guy came and said what he can do to me. So guess what I did? I drove to his course, his home course. I didn't go to mine, and whooped him like he stole some out of Macy's. And the surveillance cameras caught him. And guess what he finally said? He said, dude, you are a great golfer. I was hitting shots that, I mean, you know, it's not even important to me. I wouldn't even brought it up. But I whooped him like, dude. Those kind of guys like that, I don't even want to play no more. But Jimmy, we got some special guests on the show. This is a special day. We can't talk about my golf prowess and Tom Brady's. We got two of the best college coaches in the whole game is on our show. So as customary, I'll let you introduce them.
Well, absolutely, guys. As promised on this holiday, Memorial Day Monday, we are gracing the airwaves with the presence of the top father-son duo in college coaching, active college coaching duo. There's no respect because we're going to dedicate today's show to the family of Eddie Sutton from Oklahoma State, the legendary coach who passed away over the weekend. So our sincerest level degree of condolences extends to that family. And Coach Kellen Sampson, University of Houston, need no introduction in this city no more. Matter of fact, you see Coach don't even have to wear, you know how sometimes people wear that, Coach don't even have to wear U of H on his shirt no more. He just put a red shirt on and it's good to go just like that. And that's what I'm talking about. And that is, of course, once again, I say it again, the dynamic duo, Kelvin Sampson, University of Houston men's basketball. How's it going, fellas? Welcome to the Chop Shop.
Pleasure to be on with you two guys. That was interesting banter. Listen to the about the match yesterday. I watched that too. It was riveting. The intensity when they went to alternate shot was. The weather, the competition. Tiger got quiet. Peyton started shriveling up. Phil started talking. Brady started coming on. I mean, that thing was fun to watch.
And so already, I guess, actions are in place to probably make that a mainstay or bring us part two. Because I see Steph Curry, he went on social media and said, "Count me in for next one. Put me in," and that's the thing. And so
Jim,
that is.
Hold on. What's so unique about that particular matchup? That's the same matchup with Capital One that Tiger and Phil did last year. Yeah, they did a matchup and Phil beat Tiger. So this is like a rematch of it. They just added the other two Hall of Fame quarterbacks to add a little spice to it and raise $20 million for the COVID relief fund. $20 million. And they had a purse. I think their purse might have been $10 million. All four guys donated their purse to the COVID relief. Unbelievable gesture, Coach. I mean, I just want to. So, Jimmy, where you want to go with these?
So we get right into it. Of course, also over the weekend, it was noted that the AAC, your conference is moving their headquarters from the East Coast to Texas. Coach, you had anything to do with that, Coach?
It just makes sense. I remember when they started talking about it, and the thing I fought for was getting the conference tournament somewhere where it could be one place where we could have some consistency. Fans could plan the second weekend in March, being able to go watch their team. When I was at Oklahoma, the tournament, I think my first 10 years was at Kemper Arena in Kansas City. And it became a family vacation. You know, if you were a graduate of any of the Big 12 schools, you knew second week in March. If you're a college basketball fan, you chased your team, you're going to be there. And I think we can do the same thing in Fort Worth. I'd rather it be in Houston, but Fort Worth's close enough. Being able to, University of Houston, our fan base is starting to travel. You've got SMU, Wichita State, Tulsa, even Tulane's not that far away. But, with Connecticut moving out of the league, it just made sense. I think the flagship schools in our league now is Cincinnati has been a stalwart. Houston, with the rich tradition we have here that's coming back, is right there. Memphis is a great college basketball name, has been for a long time. Everybody thinks of Memphis and Calipari, but that's this generation. I remember Larry Keenan and how good Memphis was when Dana Kirk was there. That was back when John Wooden was at UCLA. Memphis has been on the scene along, just like Houston with Elvin Hayes and Phi Slama Jama. We all have great history, but there's a generation that doesn't know about it, and it's and I think the best days for Memphis may be ahead of them. And I don't know if our best days are ahead of us, but I think we're going to continue to improve.
And when will the conference tournament relocate?
It was going to be in Fort Worth this year, Jim. That's where we were on our way to when they canceled everything. They pulled the plug. But we signed a 3-year deal, and what I hope we do is just continue to just renew that and keep it in Fort Worth. I mean, it's close to Dallas, but it's in Fort Worth. So it is a true neutral site. I don't think you can have a legitimate conference tournament if one of the schools host a tournament. I think that discredits it, and I don't think it legitimizes your league when one of your schools host it. Look at the Big East. It's at Madison Square Garden. Look at the ACC. It's either in Greensboro or Washington, D.C. or Atlanta. They rotate it around. Look at the Big Ten. It's in Chicago. But it's not on a member institution's home campus. You don't get to host it on your home court. That's what I fought for, is and I talked to Penny about that. I remember Kevin Ollie and I got in an argument that, he wanted to keep the conference tournament in Hartford. I said, you can't have it in Hartford. You guys play half your conference games in Hartford. That's too big of an advantage. And I think it doesn't legitimize our conference when we're playing our conference tournament somewhere just so we can have a gate. Let's build it somewhere. Maybe it may not be great the first year in Fort Worth, but it will be in year 5. It will be in year 10. We'll be in year 15. Then all of a sudden we'll have a great connection fan base, and we have some great fan bases in our conference. The difference in our conference and some of the Power 5 conferences is that we're new money and they're old money, and it's going to take us a while to get up where they are.
I like that.
And of course, now Kellen, you guys are, of course, at U of H, 2014. You walk in the door. Pop's already living in Houston. He was assistant coach with the Rockets at the time under Kelvin McHale. And what was the atmosphere like? You had heard about it from afar for University of Houston men's basketball. What was it like? And also, I want to ask you, how hard was it during that time to convince the top prospects in abundance to stay home?
Well, I had just gotten fired at App State, so I thought this was the greatest job ever in the history of mankind. The fact that they hadn't won, I didn't see any of that. I had just gotten fired, so I was just excited to be employed. But I think when you looked at the Houston opportunity, you knew it was going to take a little bit of work and take a little bit of roll your sleeves up, put the eye black underneath your eyes, and kind of have to go to war with some kids and try to kind of what Coach said. You had to sell them on the idea of what we could be as opposed to what we were. And that took a long time. It wasn't just the kids; it was the people around them. It was the community. It was the high school coaches. It was AAU coaches. It was explaining to them that it's not just going to be the same old Houston moving forward, that this is truly a changing of the garden, a changing of, that the university's commitment was behind us as well. I think that, there's been a lot of coaches here, that really good coaches here, that for whatever reason, they didn't get the support from administration with facilities and other opportunities. The fact that this was moving to the American Athletic Conference was huge. The fact that there was a national ESPN television package was huge. And then the dollars and cents to put $85 million worth of facility upgrades. You added that to you get a rock star like Coach. The proof was in the pudding that we could turn this thing around.
How many schools, and just say what you estimate, have canceled non-conference opponents over the past two seasons, has canceled games with you guys or pulled out or didn't want to renew because of your success?
Well, that first year, all we had to do was we didn't even have bait on our line, and we was getting schools. We just throw our hook in the water, and everybody was biting. Now it's a different deal. But the last 3 years we finished the year ranked in the top 25 in the nation. Our recruiting has gotten better in a new way, and that's teams now see us as a good game. That's why we just renewed a new deal with LSU. We're going to play them. That may be a 4-year deal. It's at least a 2-year deal, but it may be a 4-year deal. We did a 3-year deal with Oregon that we're going to delay a year. We did a American Athletic Conference SEC thing, and we got South Carolina coming to our gym this year. LSU's coming to our gym. Next year we got invited, and you guys know you don't call up Maui and ask him I be in it. They have to invite you. So we got an invitation to Maui. I wish I could announce something on your show that's exciting for our schedule, but I can't right now because we don't have the contract back. But we've got 2 other games that we're going to schedule that's going to really rock our non-conference schedule in the coming years. And it should have been announced already, but some of the conference have moved from 18 conference games to 20. And when you go to 20 conference games, what that does is take 2 of your non-conference opportunities away. And that's why some of these games had to be pushed back a year or pushed back 2 years because of games that were already scheduled, and they had to fit them in with that. But with our conference schedule, we have a formula. We have 18 conference games, and that means we have 13 non-conference games, which comes to 31. So we're always going to play in a 3-team or an 8-team exempt tournament. That gives us 3. So now you're up to 21, 18, and 3. So now we have 9 left. We're actually 10 left. And with those 10, 3 of those usually going to be with big name opponents. Like this year we have and that's 2 SEC. Well, actually, we have 3 SEC schools. 2 we've announced, 1 we haven't announced on the schedule. But it's gotten better in one way, tougher in another. But we work at scheduling year round. People think you just call somebody up and they'll play you. It used to be like that, but now we have to be a little bit more creative, use our imagination. One of the things that we get hit with, Jim and Hat, is everybody wants to play us at the Toyota Center and we come to a neutral site in their arena. No. We just built a beautiful new arena. If we're going to play you, my man, it's going to be home and home. We're going to play at the Fertitta Center. Right. We are not playing at the Toyota Center. The last I checked, that's where the Rockets play. The Cougars play at the Fertitta Center. So we'll play you there. Now, one of the things I wouldn't mind branching out to, and Kellen brought this to me, is maybe do a neutral site, and one of the sites we play at would be at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, where the conference tournament will be. I wouldn't mind doing that, but I don't want to cheat our fans out of being able to see a big name opponent play at the Fertitta Center. That's why I have a hard time playing neutral site games.
Well, I got something for you, Coach Jimmy. And I want to go basketball a little bit, Coach. We talked about the logistics. I want to go basketball, and you and Kellen can answer. Because some coaches, I found out, say they let their players have freedom on offense. I'm hearing them. I heard them. But, Coach, you actually do. And what I wanted to do, how did the NBA change the way that you coach, especially on offense?
Well, let's define the word freedom first.
Okay.
And I'm going to use an analogy. You know, everybody that's in prison at one point had freedom.
Oh.
So you get freedom, just don't abuse it. When you abuse your freedom, look what happens. You wind up in prison. So I give them all freedom now. Now some of them are in
Solitary.
low maintenance prison, the white collar crimes. Some of them are over there in what is it they call it?
Maximum security.
Yeah, some of them maximum security. So your freedom ain't that big. Like Caleb Mills' freedom is a little bit different than say Justin Gorham's freedom.
Gotcha. You got you.
But shooting is not an equal opportunity position. You know, I get a kick out of these parents hollering at their sons to shoot. Well, the coach trying to win, and the mom and daddy wants the son to shoot. Well, sometimes those two things don't parallel. You know, but I know if a kid can shoot or not, and it's not an opinion; it's a fact. So the kids that can shoot get to take all our shots. The kids that can't shoot, I want them to rebound and defend and pass, and set a screen now and then.
And Jimmy, let me pick it back. Then you can go.
Kellen over there laughing. He over there laughing. He about to fall out the chair laughing. He knows it's pops.
I'm about to fall out laughing too. But Coach, I used to hear about your haters, Coach. Right? You know, and you just made me look so good. I'm just gonna tell you. First, they said you had terrible facility. You know, we got a guy on this Facebook page talking about the facility was terrible. Okay. Then they say you can't be in a tournament every year. Okay, you threw that out the window. Then they said he won't stay at U of H that long. Now you sign a long-term deal. What's next for U of H basketball? Can you win a national championship here? What's the next step?
Absolutely. You know, championships are not indigenous to conferences.
Okay.
You know, it's already proven that one team from our conference won a national championship in 2014. It was Connecticut.
That's right.
Villanova's in a kind of a sister conference to us at the Big East. Not the old Big East, it's the new Big East. They're in the same league with DePaul, Creighton, a lot of good teams in that league. But it's a league you can win a national championship in. You know, but it all starts with a commitment from your administration. You know, coaches and players win games. Administrations win championships. And our administration stepped up and put us in a position where we can go recruit kids. Man, you got to win. You know, facilities don't win games by themselves. You know, you've got to have a coaching staff that's got a plan, and more importantly, you got to have really good players. But one of the things that's really helped us here is that I've been able to keep my staff together for 6 years. You think about it. Alvin Brooks has been with me for 6 years. Kellen has been with me for 6 years. Hollis Price, Mikael McLean, K.C. Beard, Mashu Nega, Raul Gonzalez. Quantus White has been with us for 4, but Quantus was my starting point guard on a Final Four and Elite 8 team at Oklahoma. So I think our staff not turning over a lot has helped us, and they've had opportunities. You know, Kellen's had a couple of opportunities. Hollis has had a opportunity, but I still have them, and we're lucky because I have a great staff. Sometimes everybody wants to talk about the head coach, but one of the reasons of our success is I really have a great staff because we work so hard at development. You know, everybody wants to recruit a 5-star, but sometimes it's okay to take a 3-star and then develop him into a 5-star. You know, there's been some kids come through the city like Jared Vanderbilt, for instance, great player. You know, I think he played maybe 15, 20 college games, and he's in the NBA.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ready to coach Fabian White in his 4th year. You know, and we've been able to develop Fabian from a high school 5, to he's one of the best 4s in the league. I'll give you an example. We just played Memphis with Precious Achiuwa. He was the best player in our league. In that game head-to-head against Precious Achiuwa, Fabian White had 18 points and 14 rebounds. That's a high school kid from Atascocita. Mm-hmm. Now, when he got here, he couldn't do that. But the guy that I give the credit for especially his skill development is Kellen. You know, Fabian is a protege of Kellen.
Wow.
The blood, sweat, and tears Kellen has put into Fabian is a big reason why Fabian has developed into the player he is, and that's why I think he's going to have a monster senior year.
It's awesome, Coach. What you got, Jimbo?
Yeah, well, Kellen, going back, we talking about the fans situation at University of Houston, and back when you made the turn, of course, the transition from the High-Fines Pavilion into the Fertitta Center came also with a Jordan brand deal, and just a new resurgence of fan participation to the games. What game do you think was the turning point? Because before, fans would only just come out to selected opponents. But now, your ticket is a hot ticket no matter who coming to town.
Right.
What game do you think just propelled you into this status?
You know, there's so many awesome environment games. I would say that the game we had to win, we were kind of, are we going to do it or are you not going to do it, was 2018. We hosted Cincinnati at TSU. It was a 6 o'clock tip, which has always been a little bit of a bugaboo for us because of traffic. It's a Thursday night. It was not on our campus, and we had to get that one to try to get to the tournament. We were not in the tournament yet. We hadn't really had a marquee.
They were 8th in the nation.
And they were top 5 team in America. And Houston fans, we sold TSU out.
Yes.
And we won. I think that was one of those that was so crucial. You had to not only have a monster crowd, you had to win it in front of the monster crowd. We had this awesome following. And then from that point forward, I don't know if we've played a big game and we haven't sold it out. I don't know if we've played a game where, man, we really need our fans for this one. Hasn't been an electric crowd. You know, when we were at Oklahoma, even we'd have sellouts, but it wouldn't be an electric crowd. You know, it would be 12,000 people at a performance. You know, hey, we get a big time game and we got a big time venue. You need your fans in the trenches with you. You need them being loud and engaged and knowing when to get super loud, knowing when we need peace and quiet, you know, and that's what I think Houston fans have been the best at, is rising to the occasion when we need it. And to your point, you know, and I'll give our administration and Coach Sampson all the credit, moving Fertitta Center to 7,100 as opposed to trying to build this huge, massive cathedral, took a lot of vision, took a lot of courage to understand that this is what this college basketball program needs. We don't need a bragging piece where we've got a 13,000 seat arena and yet we only fill it once a year. At 7,100, we can be one of the most intimidating venues in college basketball, and we have.
And Coach, I like to just talk about your staff, Coach. And I've been watching them for over the years, but the reason a lot of people, that the younger people that I've found out who watch social media, your social media presence over the last couple of years, with under the leadership of Lauren Sampson, your daughter, has been absolutely unbelievable, Coach. I used to look at the social media before you came and before she inserted her footprint over this thing. And now you have your college, because I watched the colleges around the country, and your social media presence is so much better now. Because let me tell you something, even in my company, Coach, because I watch her at the game. I watch her early before the game. Even my assistant and the people around me, I said, I want me a Lauren Sampson on my team. And just serious. And you can, Coach, I just want you to talk about, when did you know, wait a minute, you know you needed this, but it's right there in your household. Your offspring was able to pull this thing off. You didn't have to go outside and get it. What do you think about that, Coach?
Well, let me just say this. There's a reason I hired her.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like scholarships. You know, it's like people ask. It's amazing how many people ask me, "Did we know Caleb Mills was that good?" sometimes you want to say, you think we run down to the mall and pass these things out? We actually kind of know who we're recruiting, and I kind of knew what I was getting in Loren. When you go back and look at the jobs that I've had in my career, Montana Tech, a complete rebuild, Washington State, a complete rebuild, Oklahoma, Billy Tubbs had that thing rolling, but we, when we got there, it was down a little bit, so we had to bring it back up. Houston, a complete rebuild. So our family, my wife Karen,
Yes.
Lauren, those two have always been my idea people. Karen and Lauren, and I knew that if Lauren got to the right situation, that she would flourish. Now, a lot of her stuff is self-taught. Like, she taught herself how to be a graphic design artist. Like, she's always had a creative mindset. Like the graphics she puts out when kids commit. We just recently had a kid commit. If you look at the graphics she had for that, if you go back, look at birthdays. She keeps our program relevant 12 months a year. If you're not, we give out the commissioner of basketball in our conference is Nate Pomaday, and they have a deal that in his office they give out the whoever's the most internet web program of the year. The last couple of years, it's been the University of Houston. Now you think about that, and that's and you said it best. Everybody in our staff, I think, is first team all conference.
Yes.
Kellen is first team all conference.
Yes.
Coach Brooks is
Yes.
the silent assassin.
Yes.
He's first team all conference. Aquinas White, Shu Nega. But Lauren Sampson, she's first team all conference. Because I have two of my kids that work for me, we get accused of nepotism and all that stuff. I hear it, but I don't hear it anymore. When we first got here, I heard, but I don't hear that anymore because they see the proof in the pudding. And I'll tell you where else Lauren is great is with our season ticket holders. You said it best, Robert.
Yeah.
When she goes to a game, she doesn't sit and watch the game. She's always working. She's always building relationships. She's always building something. We have a tip-off banquet. We raise over $100,000 every year. We've honored Clyde Drexler, Elvin Hayes, Otis Birdsong, Reed Geddes. I think next year we're going to honor Dwight Davis. That thing started off as a dream. As let's see if we can get this going. She took that thing and ran with it. She formed a committee of Elaine Ebner, Judy Cook, Patty Godfrey. I'm gonna tell you something. She's got a committee. If you're going down a dark alley, you want that committee right beside you because they'll go to war for you. But our staff is hard workers. We're grinders. We're grunts. There ain't nothing pretty boy about this staff. But like Kellen said, we put our work boots on. We grab our lunch pail and we go to work. I can only imagine what the chop shop looked like when you guys were thinking about this. And now look at it. Well, that's the way we did our basketball program. We knew what it could be. We had a vision, but we had to get somebody to believe in it and invest in us, and they did, and look what we have now.
Well, I got something for that, Coach. Watch this. Come on, Jerry.
In regards to what, is there anything on the horizon to renew the rivalries with Rice and or University of Texas?
Well, we played Rice last year at Rice, and they're coming back to our place this year. Scott Pera, I think, is outstanding coach. I really like him and what he's done with this program. University of Texas, that's a tough get for us right now. We're talking to Texas Tech. I think we have something on the horizon with Texas Tech. We're in Maui Classic with Texas A&M. But, there's a lot of schools that want to do us neutral site. But if we play somebody from the Big 12 Conference, it's not going to be on a neutral site. They want to play us home and home, their gym and our gym. Let's go. Game starts at 7. We'll be there. But we're not giving up the Fertitta Center. We didn't build that Fertitta Center to go play at a neutral site. going to play at the Fertitta Center. But all those things are in play, Jim. You know, it's amazing how the SEC looks at us as a great opponent. We don't have to work to get as a matter of fact, LSU called us. We couldn't believe it. We jumped on that, absolutely. And we have another SEC team that we're going to announce here pretty soon that we're going to start playing home and home with. And we have an ACC opponent down the road that we're going to play home and home with. Those things got a little bit pushed back because they went from 18 to 20 conference games. And when you go to 20 conference games, you're taking away 2 non-conference games. And scheduling is tricky. There's a fine art to scheduling. And you better know what you're doing. And you better be good at it. And you better not listen to anybody sitting up there behind you when they try to tell you what to do, because pretty soon you'll be sitting with them.
Now, that is definitely true. Now, Kellen, last week we had one of the coaches, and I posed this question or a similar question. And it doesn't mean everybody that's watching today watched that particular show last week. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to tackle it. And this is regarding the APR. And this is an effort to help the viewers to understand what it is,
Sure.
what it means, and what does University of Houston particularly do to keep in compliance with the APR?
I think one of the things with your APR, and it's gotten more focus here lately, is you got to be making your progress towards degree and identifying exactly what you want to study and identifying exactly what are you targeting. You know, most degree plans are 120 credits towards a degree. Every single semester you have to be targeting X amount of credit hours so that you can stay on top of your progress towards degree. That's a big piece of it. There's an eligibility component of it, both hours passed per semester and your GPA. And I think one of the things that, if you want a really good APR, it starts with recruiting kids that really want to graduate, recruiting kids that naturally have an inclination to go to class, recruiting kids that naturally have a passion for being a great student and athlete. You know, there's some kids that only view themselves in one or the other, and those are the guys that you need to do a really good job of identifying and recruiting and staying away from if you want to protect your APR the best you can. But, you know, one of the things Coach does with us as a staff is each and every member of our staff has individual ownership in a player and their academic progress. For example, you know, Bilal Batley on our staff does a great job of developing relationships with these kids off the floor and developing a relationship and a trust level so that he can speak with them about the uncomfortable stuff. Going to class, getting academic stuff done. What is your plan? How do we map out your day the best that we possibly can so that you can be a great student athlete? He entrusts all of us with that. So like, for instance, myself as an assistant coach, I've got a litany of things I got to do every single day. But a big portion of my day is spent one-on-one with my 2 to 3 student athletes and targeting their academics every single day. It starts with that. Getting the right kids that value academics, and then each and every member of your staff, not just your academic advisor, not just a person on the staff that thinks academics. Each and every coach has to have a motor about your kids' academics. From there, picking the right degree plan, picking a degree that they can be successful in, picking a degree that they have an interest in. And, you know, the hardest year for these kids academically is their freshman year. When you can understand that and understand that they're going through some homesickness, they're going through an adjustment on the basketball floor, they're going through an adjustment in every aspect of their life, if you can get them through that freshman year, you can usually get them on the right road towards graduation. But I'll give Coach Sampson all the credit in the world for that.
You know, the thing about academic progress rate, APR, it stands for academic progress rate. Mm-hmm. Over a 4-year rolling period, you have to have an average score of 930 just to be eligible to play in NCAA championships. If it's under 930, you don't get to play. Well, our 4-year average as of this year, the past 4 years, our academic progress rate was 1,000.
Really?
Yeah, it was 1,000. That is the second 1,000 that we've had. And the reason is we take responsibility as a staff for our kids' academics. If you look at our graduation rate, tells you all you need to know about our APR rate. You know, you can start with this year. Chris Harris was our only senior, graduated. Last year we had 3 seniors: Breon Brady, Galen Robinson, Corey Davis. All 3 graduated. Year before, Rob Gray graduated. Wes Van Beck graduated. Nurazana graduated. We only had 1 senior in the last 3 years not graduate, and that's Devin Davis. You go back 3 more years. We only had 2 seniors not graduate. We've been here 6 years, and we've had 3 kids not graduate, but we are on top of those 3 kids to come back and graduate. There is not one aspect of this program, Jim, that we don't have our fingertips on, that we're in control of. It's not the athletic department's program, it's our program. So if something's not going right, that's my responsibility. It's not the academics' job that something falls through the cracks for men's basketball. That's Coach Sampson's job. Everything starts and ends with me. So knowing that academics is the component that parents care most about. Fabian White's going to graduate next year. I've got 4 seniors. Fabian White will graduate. Dejan Giroux, 9 credits from graduating. 9. He'll graduate in December. Bryson Gresham's going to graduate. Justin Gorham's going to graduate. I have 4 seniors next year. All will graduate either in December or May. How do I know that? Because I know exactly what their grades are in every class.
One of the things, too, is one of the biggest killers of your APR is transfers. If guys are routinely coming in and coming out in a year's time, your APR is going to take a hit. Now, there's an APR relief if they leave with a GPA of 2.6 or better. You get an APR relief on a transfer, but unless they go to a junior college. So one of the reasons our APR has been as strong as it's been is we haven't had a lot of kids transfer. We haven't had a lot of kids come in here without a plan and then get upset or get angry or lose their way. And again, a lot of that is our staff camaraderie, our staff cohesiveness, our staff chemistry, being able to look at these parents in the eye, and the people that's recruiting them are the people that's coaching them. You know, Coach talked about our continuity being a big key. Our continuity is a big key why we haven't had a lot of transfers.
We had 1 transfer this year, Said Alley. This past semester, Said Alley passed 15 credits. He is on track to get his degree next year at UTSA. Said Alley will graduate from UTSA because he left here way ahead of his graduation progress. He's in great shape academically, and we made sure that Said was, because we care about Said, but Said made the right decision. Sometimes it's the right decision to stay. Sometimes it's the right decision to go. Said got caught in the numbers game a little bit, but Said will always be a part of this program. But we just we've had kids hire agents and go to play professional basketball, but we haven't had a lot of kids leave because of they're unhappy or not playing.
Now, you mentioned caught in the numbers game. For those that are out there and those parents, families, influencers who really don't understand what you just said, getting caught in the numbers game, give us an example, just to pull up the rug and give us an example of what you mean by getting caught in the numbers game. And as a staff, is it good or bad for a staff to encourage the player to leave, or try to make him remain there if he's caught in that numbers game?
I don't think it's a coach's job to encourage kids to stay or leave. I think it's their job to be honest with them. You know, one of the problems you have in relationships is you leave. If I know something to be true and I don't say something, then I'm hiding it from you. I have, you know, if the most important thing I can do with a young man is be honest with him. Said came in here as a freshman. We redshirted him his second year. He played. He started the first 16 games that year. I think we were 15-0 his freshman year. Said made 5 threes at BYU. We won. He had a big game against LSU. Had a lot of big games. And then we lost. I think our first loss that year was against Temple on the road at the buzzer. That was the Tiegate game. And then I played Fabian. Ced's a good basketball player, but he really doesn't have a position. We tried him at the guard. The 4 spot, the numbers became Fabian and Justin Gorham. And Fabian, Ced didn't play as much this year as I would have liked for him to. But when you start playing kids to keep them happy, then you're doing the wrong thing. My job is to win. My job's not to keep anybody happy. And if I start doing that, I need to get another profession. I'll never do that. But at the end of the year, we sat down and we just explained to him. And during the year, even I talked to Ced a lot. That's why Ced was always, Ced's got a great mother, Tamiko. I love his grandma. She's unbelievable family, unbelievable. Love Tamiko, love his grandmother. But at the end of the day, kids want to be happy, and the way they're happy is to play. And we showed him where we thought he was in terms of his position on the roster. And we said, you got to make a decision where this is okay with you, or would you like to start fresh somewhere else? But you have to make the decision, not us.
That's a good one. Now, what's your theory, Coach, on, we talked about the APR a while ago. And one thing that we learned last week, and a lot of the viewers did too, is a key, sometimes in certain programs, a key component to being in compliance or helping to bolster that APR is walk-ons. What does walk-ons, or how can a walk-on, give your theory on it, help with the APR?
You can't. Walk-ons don't help you with APR. They should help you with grade point average. APR is all about kids on scholarship. If you're not on scholarship, you don't help with APR. This past year I had 13 kids on scholarship. Like Wes Van Beck was great for us as soon as he got on scholarship. But I had one walk-on this year, Caleb Brudu. I think he's an electrical engineering major. Every one of his classes have to do with advanced calculus, advanced statistics, advanced something with engineering. And his grade point average is over 3.0. But our team's grade point average this past semester was 3.083. Our kids average passing 14 credits. The kids on scholarship, average passing 14 credits. So we don't need walk-ons to help us academically. My scholarship guys get the job done.
Thanks for clearing it up. And indeed, what you got, Heather?
I just got some, but I want him to elaborate on it a little bit, Coach. And I hope Melvin Dews, one of our people on our YouTube page, he said, so Coach, is there any aspect of the program that you don't make it a priority to know about? Because they hear when coaches and programs come under fire, they say they knew nothing about this and they knew nothing about that. You follow me? You follow me? He said,
oh, yeah.
Okay. Could you elaborate? Could you talk about that?
No, there's, one of the things that we take pride in is having high character people. Okay. One of my best friends is Greg Popovich with the Spurs. I spent a little time with San Antonio. Having high character guys matter. I don't think you can win championships unless you have high character guys. Look at, we all just watched The Last Dance. Now, Michael Jordan came across a little bit gruff, a little bit of an a-hole, whatever. But Michael Jordan's a high character dude. So was Steve Kerr. So was Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen's a high character guy, good person. Horace Grant, good person. Luke Longley, Tony Kukoc. Look at Ginobili, Parker, Duncan, all those guys.
Yes.
One of the reasons why I don't have to worry about things in our program, like, I'm sorry, that was.
Oh no, I thought that was me, Coach. I'm sorry.
We talk about that. Our compliance office, we schedule a meeting with them every month. They come into our office and we sit down and we go over hot button items. that we may have to worry about in that time period. Like everything's cyclical in college. You know, as soon as the season's over, there's certain things we can do with institutional camps, non-institutional camps. And so they come in and make a presentation about that to us. But they do it not just with our staff that recruits, they do it with everybody. You know, everybody has things they can and can't do. But if you just pay attention to the compliance people, they'll help you. That's why we haven't had any problems following rules here, because we just need to know the rule book's extensive. And if you'll pay attention to it, but you know, the rule books is for people to follow the rules. The guys that don't follow the rules ain't worried about the rule book. But if you want guys to follow the rules, and make sure you have high character people on your staff, and that's what we do. But there's a thing called head coach control, just like institutional control. So if something's going on with the coaching staff and the head coach doesn't want to, if the head coach says, "Well, I didn't know about that," well, whose fault is that? You know, I really can't say that. Now, sometimes you can get in the gray areas and not quite sure, but there's just, you know, anything you're not sure about, you probably should ask the question, and we do. We wear our you know, we went through this thing last year with Quentin Grimes, for instance, with his eligibility. I didn't know the rules on that, so I had to stay out of it. You know, Bill Self and I were in communication about a lot of things, but our compliance people had to run that. You can't get involved in that stuff. There's so many things that we have to depend on our compliance people about, but as long as you have high character people around you, you don't have to worry about that.
One of the things that Coach always implores us to do is no surprises. You know, that doesn't always mean you have fun conversations with your guys. You know, that doesn't always mean that you get to avoid certain topics and hope that it just works itself out. You got to address and be willing to confront every issue within your program. Coach implores us all to be confrontational with our guys as it comes to uncomfortable items, and that helps us keep Coach organized and helps you know, everything always on the table. We always know what's going on with our guys, and that allows us to let Coach consistently be in control of his program at all times.
The other thing too, Robert, you mentioned Lauren a while ago. You better hire staff that you can trust. You know, I have four former players on our staff. Kellen's my son, but Kellen played for me at Oklahoma. Hollis Price played for me at Oklahoma. Quantus White.
Term.
No, Kellen was a good player. Landon Gosling was a grad assistant, played for me. Mikael McLean played 1 year for me, but he's on the staff. Our strength coach, Alan Bishop, has a litany of rules that he has to abide by, especially with unofficial and official visits. He has to know exactly. So he sits in on all of our compliance meetings. But if you got guys you trust, you know they got your back. I don't have a single assistant coach that works for me that wouldn't take a bullet for me, the proverbial bullet. Those guys would not. Those guys will take a bullet for me because they know I will take a bullet for them. And that's why having a great staff is the answer to those questions. You have coach control when you have good guys that, and I don't feel compelled to try to out-recruit somebody or to please somebody in recruiting. We recruit kids that we want to coach, first of all. Like there's a lot of kids come through this city, people say, why don't Houston recruit him? Well, maybe it's because I'd rather coach against him than coach him. You know, there's a reason why we're winning over here. I've seen a lot of kids around here that are so-called great players. Right. Well, my definition of great may be different than yours. Maybe I'd rather play against that kid. A lot of these kids that you see them go to other schools, I don't ever see them win. A lot of kids shooting 30 times a game, scoring 30 points, and people blowing them up like they all that. Right. Well, a lot of guys can score 30 to shoot 30 times. But if that's the way he plays, he can't play like that for me. That's why if you look at these kids that we recruit, Galen Robinson's a great Houston basketball player. Chris Harris, Damian Dotson. Damian Dotson averaged 2 rebounds a game his sophomore year at Oregon. His junior year here, he averaged almost 8. And then the year later, he's the 42nd pick by the New York Knicks. That's what our program is all about, player development. But if you're going to develop, you better not be lazy, and you better have a great attitude, and you better want to be coached. those are three things that are critical in our evaluation of players.
Jimmy, you want to go? Because
And
Coach.
guys, at this time, if you want to give a shout out to our people watching. If you didn't know, if you're on one of the platforms, we are streaming simultaneously on YouTube and Facebook. If you're on the YouTube channel right now, give us a thumbs up over there. Shout out to you guys. I see you about to get to some of your questions right now for Coach Kelvin and/or Kellen Sampson. And if you're on the Facebook feed, we're going to ask you to share the show right now. Share that show, this show, with your timelines, with your friends, or even with your basketball groups that you may be a part of. There's somebody that needs some of these nuggets that these guys are dropping right now. Understand? And you know, think about it. This is rare air for coaches. Not often do you get to hear them talk at the same time this long about basketball and about things that encompasses the sport of basketball. Talking about life. So your questions are very important, and we will get to them right now. Mind you guys, I want to give you guys a house rule, even though it's not Wednesday, it's Monday, and this is a holiday. If there's a female that poses a question, she will be moved to the front of the line. So understand this. This is how it goes. And we'll start off first with Melvin. He asked, you mentioned Quentin Grimes, and his question is, what does Quentin Grimes have to do to become that national household name once again?
You know, I think you evaluate kids different ways. I think sometimes we get held hostage by what other people think of us, and then we're either trying to live up to somebody else's expectations, or we're just who we are. You know, Quentin is first of all, a great kid to coach because he's coachable. You know, there's probably nobody on this year's team other than Marcus Sasser that I coached harder than I did Quentin. I mean, I really coached that kid hard. But you talk about high character. That is a high character dude. I think Quentin's getting better in different areas. If you'll notice his last few games, he started doing a little bit of everything. Quentin is capable of being a lockdown defender. Quentin is capable of averaging 7 rebounds. You know, he's starting to put value in things that are valuable. For instance, Nate Hinton. You know, one of the things the NBA people love about him is how much he rebounds. I think the fact that Damian Dotson averaged at 18 points, but I remember being on a conference call with Jeff Hornacek and Walker D. Russell, the guys from the Knicks. And the thing they loved about him was how he rebounded. They loved how Nate rebounded. You know, you got to be able to be multifaceted. You know, if you're a one-trick pony, you don't get to play in that league. You have to have a kicker. You know, what is your kicker? You know, he can score. What is all you can do? Then, you know, you can shake 50 trees and a million of them will fall out. But what is it you do to stay on the court if the ball's not going in? And that's where Quentin has to make his greatest growth. He's got to be committed, not involved. He's got to be committed to defense. He's got to be committed to rebounding. And I call those, you know, those are the dog part of the games. You know, he's a little more dog in him. Don't be afraid to bust somebody's lip. Don't be afraid to get your lip busted either.
I like that one, Coach. I wrote that one down, Coach.
What you got one, Howard? You want to go to the next question?
You can go, because I got a few of them. Hold on, let me get you, Coach. Let me go here. They said, ask Coach Sampson how he feels about the NIL for student athletes, name, image, and likeness.
Oh, I think politically, and Kellen and I have talked about this at length. The money that's involved is going around, you know, a multi-billion-dollar deal with CBS to do an NCAA tournament. You know, understand this, Robert and Jim. NCAA doesn't make one dime off football. Football does not help the NCAA. There's only one thing that makes money for the NCAA, and that's men's basketball. Football is a separate entity. Those are bowl games and the bowl championship series. None of that money goes to the NCAA. And people say, well, football and basketball is the only thing the NCAA has going for it. Well, no, that's what member institutions have going for it. The NCAA, the men's basketball tournament, and the television rights to that tournament is where they make all their money. So with all this money going around, it's kind of progressively gotten to the point, why can't the players share in that? So as much as I am for the players having the freedom to make money off their name, image, and likeness, it's going to create a nightmare, I think, for athletic departments, because you're going to have 2% of your athletic department making in some cases $1,000. Let's say, for example, University of Alabama football. What's to stop a football player at Alabama from some sporting goods store saying, you know, if you come play football at Alabama, we're going to put your name on the back of a jersey, and we're going to sell them for, say, $100, and we'll sell 1,000 of these things, and you're going to get 80% of that money. Well, that means that you've got 85 kids on scholarship playing football. You got this guy, he's rolling up here in a Mercedes. You got another guy rolling up here in this, and this. And then 90% of the team, you know, they can't make money because they don't have the power to do that. Same thing in basketball. So how do you have a team then? How do you have chemistry then? I don't think there's anytime you have a rule change, there's always this thing called unintended consequences. And there's so many unintended consequences with the NIL that unless you've been a coach, I'm not talking about from a student athlete standpoint, just from a supervisory standpoint, you know, being the head coach, the administrator, okay, all these things are going to create issues that nobody's thought about that now all of a sudden we're going to be in charge of. And I think that's one of the problems. You know, you look at Houston, I think we have how many sports, Kellen? 18 or 20? I think let's say 20, 10 men's sports, 10 women's sports. Out of those 20 sports, you have 2 sports that probably can capitalize off of that. You know, like Galen Robinson, I think could have taken advantage of NIL, especially his senior year. There's some young kids coming up in Houston right now that if they stay at home, maybe they can capitalize on that. Well, what about the rest of the kids on your team? Is that going to create a rift? Is that going to create a problem in coaching the team? Because now, he's making all this money. Maybe he don't even worry about coming to practice today. Well, that would be a little bit out there. But you see what I'm saying? There's so many things out there that, you know, we're only thinking about what's fair to that kid when a coach is thinking about his program and the problems that may arise from a kid having been able to make all that money.
I think one of the things we all got to do a great job with this NIL is also educating these kids on the finances of everything, you know, the potential taxation that's going to come from people out of nowhere popping up. Hey, you've got X amount of dollars now in your pocket. We got an investment. We want, whoa. That's a whole lot to put on an 18-year-old's shoulders. That's a whole lot to put on a young person's shoulder. Reggie Bush kind of talked about that this morning, is that how do we insulate and protect these kids from outside entities trying to capitalize on these kids that are now finding themselves in a little prosperity. And I think that's where everybody's just got to wrap their arms, especially as an athletic department and as your men's basketball programs or football programs or whomever, and just make sure we're providing the appropriate education for these kids as they're putting a couple extra dollars and cents in their pockets.
You know, the other thing that I'm concerned about too is, you know, I've always lived by this saying, and it's amazing how many people don't know what they don't know. You know, there's a lot here I don't know about, and I don't know. But how are we going to monitor this? You know, how do we administer this? You know, what are the parameters? All I hear is NIL, but I haven't heard the rules. I haven't heard how this thing's going to be governed. So until somebody explains to me how everybody's going to be under the same umbrella, playing by the same rules, how this it may be able to benefit a player, but it may kill a team. That's the thing I'm concerned about.
And once again, playing devil's advocate, that's the thing. It could kill a team, but there are teams out there as you just alluded to, certain programs you just named, there are teams where those players are already driving similar types of cars that you mentioned in the parking lots, and the fabric of those teams, it may not seem to wither at all. And so and also in Kellen, with you in regard to the investments, those, if this is put into place, the NIL, then wouldn't those kids be granted the opportunity to have representation at the same time? So wouldn't that be go up under the umbrella for their representation to consummate those deals?
Kind of what Coach said is, what is the rules behind that? You know, are these guys now allowed to have agents while they're in school? Because that would be a new piece to the, you know, and there's a lot of threads as we're walking into this world that we all need to be open-minded with, and we all need to make sure that we're putting our arms around these kids as they're walking through this world. I mean, you're potentially putting a lot of young people in a very, very adult industry when you start talking about making that sort of money. And there's a lot of greedy, advantageous people in this world that are potentially going to take advantage of some of these kids. And like you said, well, now they can have representation, and now they can potentially have agents while they're in college. That right now, that's not allowed. And so it's
Pandora's box.
It'll be interesting to see how it all kind of revolves. And again, we're all in the business of kids. What allows these kids to
pro kids? We're pro kids. We want them to have everything possible that can come to them, but sometimes you got to save them from themselves. You know, that's why everything has to come under the umbrella of compliance. So if they have representation, whether it's an agent or someone to, you know, I hate to use this term, but that's where we're headed, broker a deal.
Yes.
You know, how do we keep that regulated? What are the parameters? You know, that's the thing we don't know about right now. All we've done is throw out a term, NIL. Oh, look what you're going to be able to do now. Well, let's figure out how we can do that and help the kid, but also keep him from getting him ineligible. You know, all of a sudden the things that has been taboo, all of a sudden they're getting ready to say you can do this now. You know, does that mean he can run down to a car dealership and can I get a courtesy car because of and use my name to advertise? You know, look who drives one of our cars. I mean, what's the deal here? I don't know. If that's why I'm worried about a lot of pieces to this, but I think we're a couple years away from that happening. Right now it's in the legislature. You know, our Congress people are voting on that, but it'll filter down to college athletics, who has to govern it, and then from there it gets down to the coaches. So there's going to be committees upon committees upon committees, whether oversight committees to make sure we're doing it right, to student committees, to compliance people, athletic administrators, and coaches. We're all moving into a whole new world here with this.
And Coach, I thank you so much, because when I was bringing up these subjects months ago, people would thinking I was against it. I was against it. They kept bringing up, well, they passed it in California. They passed it in here. It wasn't that I was against it. I know what goes on. How we gonna police it? How we gonna regulate it? How we gonna and Kellen, when you said agent, Coach, you don't have to have an agent. Coach, marketing, you can have a marketing rep now. So they have to come. We have to govern them now. It's just so many things that can happen wrong for the kid, Zion Williamson, that can happen for the kid that we just think, and I was explaining to them, dude, this stuff, I told them, this was like the term I use. It's like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
And people think, well, you're just against it. No, I know how hard, being around this business for so long, I know how hard it is to make sure this thing works. And guess what? Some kids, Coach, you're right, ain't gonna get nothing. But guess what they just told me? Well, at least they had the opportunity to. Okay, they have coach. The only thing that I had a problem with when those young kids go and use their name, likeness, and image on YouTube, and then the NCAA comes in and declares those kids ineligible. I have a problem with that. I just got a problem with that. So those things like that is the ones that I'm trying to fix. And I mean, like you said, it's a lot of work. That commission, they just threw something out there. Now we got to figure out how to make it work.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
it's on them. The NCAA is the people that are going to, when they roll it out, there will be stipulations. There will be, think about it, it's not just an open playing field. There's going to be chalk on the ground to show you what's inbounds and what's out of bounds. We
Right.
understand that. They're not, I mean, it's not going to be just like that. Just like Kellen just said, there's going to be taxable consequences for a lot of the income that comes in. That means, and all of that stuff is going to go in. We just wait. When they do, we all will see. But at the same time, until then, everybody's not going to equally reap the same rewards. We understand that. Now, turn the page.
Think about urban schools. Think about urban campuses versus rural campuses. Opportunities you have in these big cities versus. I coached at Washington State University. That's in the Palouse. It's 80 miles from Spokane, Washington, which is the closest biggest town, but 7 miles from the University of Idaho. We're kind of out there in the middle of nowhere, if you will. But there'll be opportunities, but nothing like there would be in Seattle, where the University of Washington is, or in Eugene. Think about Nike. There's so many schools and campuses that are going to have built-in advantages that other schools won't, but nobody's thinking about that. Is that, what kind of problems that going to create in the balance of these schools and these conferences?
And guess what? To TBA, we would definitely see in regards to that. We got another set of questions for you guys. One for Kellen, one for Coach Sampson. And Coach Sampson, you just mentioned Washington State. Our next question is from Mike, and he asked, for those that aren't not aware, you coached LeVar Ball at Washington State. So people want to know what type of player, student athlete was LeVar Ball. And for you, Kellen, the question for you that they have presented is about the transfer rules.
Sure.
Is expected to be relaxed in 2021, possibly. Whereas if a person transfer, they may not have to sit out. There may not be a process that you guys had to endure with Quentin Grimes, for example, this past year, as to waiting on pins and needles. What's going to happen? What would that take? What would that do? How would that affect high school recruiting? The portal modifications or the transfer, modifications. Now, we can go with you first, Coach, about your experience with LeVar Ball.
Well, if I knew he was going to have Lonzo and LiAngelo, I would have played him a lot more. I knew that. I had no idea he was going to have two offspring that turn out like that. When I first got to Washington State, we were in a numbers game, and honestly, we just needed to have some big bodies. But I saw LeVar play. LeVar was a Compton kid, and I remember going down to Compton. Darryl Strawberry went to the same high school as he did, and big, strong. He had a man's body. Tough kid, good rebounder, great teammate. But the kids you recruit your first year, to just make sure you get a team on the floor is not always the kids that you're going to build your program with. But that's just reality. But I didn't have any problems with LeVar. I remember him clearly. I remember going to his house with his mother and father. His father looked like him. I mean, his father was like a LeVar. But great family, great kid, good teammate, no problems.
Yeah, I think that the one-time transfer deal, if it does pass, it's one of those things that everybody says, well, it's going to pass, it's going to pass, it's going to pass. We'll just see. I don't know if anybody has a a definitive answer on that. Everybody thought it would pass this past year, and then a pandemic hit. So I think we're all kind of we'll just take a wait and see approach. As it relates to high school recruiting, I think that the programs that do a great job of developing meaningful relationships and you really sell a family style environment and the kids that you recruit, you place a high premium on their experience and a high premium on honesty first and foremost in the process. Be business as usual. There won't be a big deal one way or the other. I think that the schools that recruit a little bit differently, may struggle or may run into problems. But I know this: for every kid that's leaving, there's going to be opportunities for a kid to come. I think it's one of the. Everybody said, well, this is just a terrible rule for mid-majors. They're going to be able to take assault on, the back ends of some of these high major benches. There's a lot of kids that make decisions to go to some of these high major schools that, it didn't work out. Now they get a one-time release as well. So there'll be a free flow. And I think us as college assistants, we're going to be a lot like Major League Baseball, where we're going to have to know farm systems from everybody. We may have to have a working knowledge of 1,000 kids now. And we'll adjust just like we've done to every single rule that's hit college basketball. I think that's one of the, there'll be an adjustment period, but we'll get it figured out.
One of the issues with that one-time transfer rule, Jim and Hat, is something most people don't think about is the deadline that you have when you can transfer. Let's say, for instance, they use the deadline as July 1st. Well, that's a coach and program killer. So if a kid has up to how are we going to replace him in July? So what date are they going to put in to have this kid say this is the date from which you have to decide by? Most seasons are over in early March, mid-March. Some kids, there's 4 teams that play in late March, early April. So you have half the month of March, you have the entire month of April, you have the part month of May, June. If a kid is going to have the ability to transfer one time without any implications, there's got to be a timeline that doesn't hinder the school that he's transferring from, but also give that school a chance to replace that young man. But I think there's almost how many kids do you think are transferred from Division I schools this year, Kellen?
I think I saw numbers just over 800.
Now that's without the one-time transfer rule. What do you think that number is going to be like with the one-time transfer rule? So, and then anytime a kid transfers, I'd say it's about a 75-25, 65-35% split. I was looking at an NBA stat the other day. How many kids that transfer or grad transfers ever make it to the NBA? Low number. Guys that make it to the NBA stay at the schools they sign with. Guys that transfer to other schools rarely ever make it. But guys that transfer are usually the guys that go to 3 or 4 different high schools. They go to 3 or 4 different AAU programs. They're used to instant gratification. They stick that thing in the microwave. I'm not playing. I'm out. Then they go to the next school. Something comes up. They're used to running. They don't dig in and fight through adversity and see if they can get better. I think that what we've done with society is give kids a chance to. And I'm not against transferring.
Right.
I just have a hard time with everything that comes up. We've given kids a chance to go see if the grass is greener. Sometimes that grass is AstroTurf.
Indeed. Now, of course, guys, we welcome you to embrace your questions. Present your questions for Coach Kellen or Kelvin Sampson. Rick asked, are the beards here to stay? Is that the COVID beards you guys are wearing? Is that something?
I don't know. The wife hadn't said anything, so she hadn't either. Of course, she may not have looked at me in a few days. She hears my voice, but I'm not sure she really looks at me. But I don't know. I
Now-
used to have what Robert has. I used to have a little goatee. I used to wear a goatee for a while.
Yeah, hey, Coach,
Oh.
I got another one for you, Coach.
Yeah, we
And
got three.
I think it's we got a guy on the Facebook feed. His name Mo City Finest, and he said that what grassroots league do you prefer recruiting out of, EYBL, Adidas, or Under Armour? No, that's not a fair question. I know you're gonna. I mean, so however you want to answer it, Coach. He asked it.
Here's what I'll say: is Caleb Mills wasn't in any of those.
Uh,
Caleb Mills wasn't in EYBL. He wasn't in Under Armour. He wasn't in Adidas. He wasn't even on the main court. We had to go in the back gym. Matter of fact, we had to leave the building and go to another gym to see him. So it doesn't matter. You know, if you're a good player, we're going to find you. I don't care what league you're in. As long as you're on a floor that's got a referee and they keep in score, we're going to hear about you and we're going to find you. There's great players that come from all of those. But there's great players that also, great being a relevant term, there's also good players. What's the name of Caleb's AAU team, Kellen?
PSB Select.
Yeah, he wasn't even in any of those. So don't get caught up in. It's kind of like being. When's the last time a Big Ten school won a national championship in basketball? Villanova won 2. So it doesn't matter what league, it doesn't matter what conference you're in men's basketball, and it certainly don't matter what league you're in. Just be a good player, man.
And so now, speaking of that, grassroots basketball, Coach, we give both of you guys a chance to chime in on it. What do you think the biggest problem is nationally, and the biggest problem locally that's wrong with grassroots basketball?
I think one of the deals is well, right now the biggest problem is we got a pandemic going on
right now.
I think that when you look at you say problems, everybody could point out there's probably too wide of a deal. I think that I wish there would be. I wish that nationally, I wish more Under Armour teams would play more Nike teams. I wish more Nike teams would play Adidas teams. I wish there would be, too many times these guys get too much in one swimming pool and they don't want to jump into different swimming pools. Hey, let's embrace competition year round, and not just locally. I think within your states, everybody does a pretty decent job of competing, especially at your events. But I wish, I'd love to see Houston or San Antonio or Dallas. I'd love to see their very best goes compete against North Carolina's very best. And you don't probably see that as much as you would like. I'd love to see the best Nike team in North Carolina is probably CP3 and against one of they're a Nike, so San Antonio Hard Work. And I'd love to see there be a platform to let them go after it without political bias or just compete. I wish that if I had one, I wish nationally and locally more people would embrace the competition and not kind of protect their reputations.
Interesting.
That's a good reply.
I would say I would appeal to kids' self-esteem, and the thing that motivates them is in worrying about what star you are. Who's rating you and where you're rating. Don't ever let where someone rates you define you. That's not important. I'm looking at the kids that we just had in this recruiting class. We redshirted a young man this year named J1 Roberts. He played EYBL with Jeff Webster's team. Was that Provision? Is that the name of it?
Pro Skills.
Pro Skills.
Yeah.
I have no idea where he was rated. I just know Kellen found him and took me to his game. And I was sitting there at Peace Jam watching him play. And there was some highly rated kid on the other team. I think it was
CP3. Yeah, they're playing CP3.
And the big kid, everybody's there watching him, and I'm going, our little kid right there is pretty good. But by the end of the game, I think J1 had 12, 16 rebounds, blocked 4 or 5 shots. Went back that night, got him on the phone, and offered him. No idea who liked him, who was recruiting him, who was rating him. I just liked him. I liked how hard he played. I liked the fact that he played for his team. He didn't look around the gym to see who was looking at him. He was focused on his coach, focused on his teammates. When the referees made a call, he gave the ball back to him. He didn't react. He had composure. He was a great teammate. Those are the things that you build programs with. Those are character things. I'd rather have a 3-star with great character than a 4-star with low character. I can't win with that kid. You can't win on the road with low character guys. You win at home with them, but you can't win on the road with them. So we're always looking at your character. What are you like on the bench? How are you when you're? How do you react to your coach when he gets on you? How do you react to another player when he cheap shots you? How do you react to the referee when he makes a blatant bad call? And there's a lot of bad calls. How do you react to that? I just think the character you have, and then the parents get caught up into the rating game. Don't define your son by where he's rated. That's your son. Doesn't matter where he's rated. If he's getting better, if he's working, people will find him. Caleb Mills, I think, was a 2-star. You tell me. I thought he was pretty good.
I would say this too. The greatest evals, the greatest mistake evals I've made as a coach have been when I've tried to forecast what a kid at the end of a bench would be because he's on a monster shoe company team.
Yeah.
I've missed more evals off that than him playing on a lesser team or a team that's not on a shoe company team or they don't get free shoes. But I got to see him play all the time. And I got to have a PhD in his game. Those are the best evals I've made because I get to see him all the time. Whereas a kid that's on the end of a bench, and especially when I was at Appalachian State or Stephen F. Austin, well, he's on this team, so he must be really good. I missed those evals. I missed on them because I didn't get a chance to really, really, truly evaluate all aspects of his game as a teammate, as a how does he interact with his coach, all those things that Coach just mentioned, all those intangibles. I didn't get a chance to see that, and I'm trying to forecast a moving goalpost there. So, but find a team you're going to play on.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is a lot of these kids are early and matures. They develop early. And so they may get a 4 or 5-star rating as a 9th or 10th grader. When he's 11th grader, he's down to a 4. When he's a 12th, he's down to a 3, but he's still rated as a 5. Because he's so much bigger and stronger than everybody when he was 14 and 15 years old. People called up, some people passed him. This kid I was talking about, J1 Roberts, wait till you guys see him. He is a quick twitch. He's about 6'7". What's his arm span, Kellen?
Right at 6'11".
He's 6'7". He's got a 6'11" wingspan. We played a Big 12 school in our scrimmage. We're allowed to play him in the scrimmages and not use his redshirt year. I played him 1 quarter. He led us in rebound in the quarter he played in and didn't know what he was doing. We just told him to play sick him, ball shot, go get it. Now he knows how to go get it. But he was a kid that probably flew under the radar. But I like kids like that. There's a kid in this city from Aldine Eisenhower that I had at Oklahoma. When I went to his junior college to see another kid play, and this kid was about 6'3", 255. I didn't even know he was on the team until the coach sent him out there in the scrimmage. I said, who's that fat kid? He's pretty good. And that fat kid wound up playing for me at Oklahoma. We played Mississippi State when they had Eric Dampier.
Yeah.
And Tay Jones, he had Google this so you'll know I'm telling the truth. Okay. He had 25 rebounds and 25 points and 22 rebounds in that game. His name is Ernie Abercrombie.
Yeah.
Eisenhower went to Weatherford Junior College.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
And to this day, Abercrombie still plays with the Eisenhower alumni team in my annual alumni tournament. And they won the tournament a couple of years ago. He still can ball.
That boy's butt was about two and a half axe handles wide, but he knew how to play from the shoulders up.
Yeah.
From the shoulders up, he was a 5-star. That boy was smart, IQ. He started every game for me at Oklahoma for I don't know his first year, but I know his second year he did. Did he start his first year, Kellen, every game? Seemed like his. Yeah. But I remember we played Texas that year. We beat them 100-75.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tom was coaching over there, and they had a good team. But this kid, I probably had a typical game with him was 11 points, 10 rebounds. That's just the way he played.
Go, Jeff.
Now, I want to ask you guys about offers, and this is another topic that's taboo, and that is one of the epidemics, a small epidemic around the country, has been over the past couple of seasons, has been the witnessing of people claiming offers from a staff, and that either A, is not true, or B, that the staff have just done somebody a favor to extend a non-committable, what I call a fake offer. And so my question to you guys is, I posed the same question last week to one of the other coaches on the Chop Shop. Have you guys extended off an offer to a player in recent years that you would not take the commitment from? And if so, what is your reasoning behind it?
You take that one, Kellen. I'll take it. Well, it depends on the kid. If you offer a kid, you better be prepared for him to take it. And don't offer a kid that you wouldn't take. But we all know if you offer a 10th grader, he's not going to take it. You know that. And a lot of time you offer to make sure that you're in the game with him. If you don't offer him, if you wait until he develops, until where you can make a discernible difference in whether he's able to play today or he's going to develop. If you wait to them, you may not even be in his top 20 because there are a bunch of schools have offered. So we have offered kids, and we wanted to wait to see how he developed. But we offered him knowing that he wouldn't take it. Now, sometimes we'd offer a kid and he didn't develop, and we just dropped out. But that's kind of the way the recruiting game goes. Wouldn't you say, Kelly?
Yeah, I think that sometimes, now to your point, I don't know if we've offered somebody to do somebody a favor. That seems a little reckless and seems a little
dangerous.
Yeah, that seems a little dangerous. But as far as offering a young kid and he, like Coach said, he doesn't develop or he doesn't progress, or maybe, he takes a step back in his game, attitude-wise, as a student-wise, any of those other things. Hey, he's not the person we thought he was. He might still be the player we thought he was, but maybe he's not the person we thought he was. Or, hey, we offered him, and then the more you got to know him, the more that he revealed maybe his true character. We've had to pull out of a scholarship offer. I would say we've had to pull out of scholarship offers more so than we've thrown out a fake offer. Hey, look, on that particular day, on that particular moment, hey, we really liked who he was. And then the more you get a chance to know him and the more that you pull back the layers, he's not a good fit. This isn't a good fit for him, and he's not a good fit for us.
Yeah, sometimes you find out, kid's got an issue. I don't mind taking kids with issue, but my rule there is he better be better than his issue.
And so now speaking of the offers, and one of the description that I use towards it is that I often tell people that the offers, they're like coupons in the Sunday paper. At the bottom is tell you that they're going to expire, but and of course Coach Brooks just echoed my thought. And that the thing is, most people on either side know when the actual expiration date is. So can you tell me, for people that are listening right now, that are watching right now, what are some tips if you receive an offer from any school as an underclassman? How can you find out if that offer is still valid? Because otherwise you're the last to know.
Yeah, that's easy. Call and commit.
Jimmy told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, call and commit and see what they say. Coach, I've thought long and hard about this. I know I haven't talked to you in 2 years. I wanted you to know that I've haven't had any offers since you called me, and so I'm gonna go ahead and take yours. What day do I report to school? See what
Have you guys ever had that ever happen to you? And you had to just let a kid, hold on, son, and tell us how to, I mean, seriously, not in detail of who the kid was, but has that scenario ever played itself out since you guys have been coaching?
Yes.
So how do you explain it? Tell us how you explain it.
I can't tell you how I explained it, but I did.
Tell him, Coach. You're right. Coach can't give you the secrets, Doc. Hey, Coach, I got something for you. You know what?
Be careful what you ask for. You may get it.
Wow. Hey, somebody asked something, Coach, and I think Kellen. I'm gonna get this to Kellen. Kellen, they said, how much of social media do you follow on a kid? Kellen?
Oh, Lordy, a lot. Because one thing about it, especially in this pandemic, they will put their whole entire laundry list on a social media accounts, and whether it's Instagram Live, their snaps, Twitter, you can glean so much information about, especially since Twitter started publicizing what you like. That you used to hide behind, okay, I'm gonna only retweet, my certain persona, but then I'm gonna quietly kind of like maybe some things that actually interest me. Some of these things these kids like is eye-opening.
So it matters, Coach. Coach, it matters what you like.
You can't hide it. They're putting it in plain sight for you, or if a kid's always liking your picture, you think, okay, this kid wants to be a Cougar. Heck yeah. And then you look on his likes, and he's liking every coach's stuff. You say, this dude's playing the game.
Yeah. Well, so some of them will. I mean, I'm not big on that stuff, but it's kind of like these rap groups that they'll like. Sometimes you can tell a lot about them by the music they like. Now me, I've always who was the artist I liked growing up, Kellen? When you was riding around in the car with me when you was a little boy.
Marvin Gaye, Al Green.
Now see, if it's Marvin Gaye and Al Green, you solid. That's just solid. There's not a lot of highs there, not a lot of lows there. You solid. Right. But you come up with this ignorance. I can educate an ignorant man. I just can't do a whole lot with stupidity.
And all ignorant means you don't know.
Well, we're all ignorant. We're all ignorant in different areas.
And so now I also want to ask another question we have on here is from Melvin. He says, can coach let players and parents know how beneficial junior college can be in the development of a player?
Wow, some of my best. I always said I would get inducted to the Junior College Hall of Fame before I inducted anywhere else because of all the junior college kids I've coached in my career. Rob Gray was a junior college kid, an academic qualifier. Just because you go to junior college doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. It's amazing how many people think there's something wrong with a junior college kid. Some of the greatest men, like Ernie Abercrombie, the kid I was talking about, he and his father cooked barbecue at the White House for George H. Bush. That kid was a junior college kid. I love junior college kids. I do. I have an affinity for junior college kids. Last year, Chris Harris came from a junior college. I don't think I've ever coached a team that didn't have a junior college kid, ever. 30-some years, 31 years, I've always had. Would you say that's right, Kellen?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think I've ever coached a team that did not have a junior college kid. But you got to be careful with some of the programs you recruit. Some of the best coaches I've ever been around were junior college coaches. The discipline they have, how well coached their programs are, is important. Corey Davis, junior college kid. Devin Davis, junior college kid. Rob Gray, Nurzana, Breon Brady. Who else since I've been in Houston was junior? Chris Harris. Kyle Meyer. We've always had junior college kids, but there's a lot of reasons. Some kids are just late developers. I feel like I'm coming my senior year. I'm getting better, but I don't have a lot of offers. Well, pick out a well-coached junior college team that will develop you, and maybe after 1 year you're eligible to go because you were an academic qualifier. You can go after 1 year. If you're a non-qualifier, you're going to have to get an AA degree. But there's a lot of good reasons to go to a junior college.
But Coach, I think it's a negative connotation on this JUCO thing, because I've heard coaches in workouts, summer coaches in workouts, when guys doing something that they good. Oh, you just want to be a JUCO dude. You headed straight to JUCO with that kind of so some of these kids have. It's some people in positions of power have gave JUCO a negative connotation, and I'm so glad that we got one of the best coaches in college basketball sitting up here explaining to our readers and our listeners how valuable junior college is for some kids. It's not a negative. Sam Cassell went to junior college. Nick Van Exel, Steve Francis, all of those guys went to junior college, Coach.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm sorry. Jimmy Butler. Yes.
Yeah. No. There's some kids. God made us all. He made us all imperfect. It's amazing how many people sit in glass houses and throw rocks at you. But we're all imperfect people. God made us like that. And so sometimes we all didn't have the same opportunity academically. Sometimes I made a mistake. Sometimes you make a mistake and go to a 4-year school. Sometimes you make a mistake and go to a 2-year school. Sometimes the best decisions were to go to a 2-year school. Some of the best junior colleges in America is right here in the state of Texas. One of my favorite players I ever coached came from Kilgore Junior College. Navarro. I can get on 45 and find a great junior college. You can go just about anywhere in the corner. Angelina. It broke my heart when San Jack disbanded their program. Corey Davis and Chris Harris played in the last year at San Jack. Look at all the great players that's come from San Jack.
Wow.
Over the years. But so many great coaches, so many great programs in the state of Texas. I've made a living recruiting Texas JUCOs over the years.
And now, Coach, speaking of U of H basketball, last year you guys got to host the College Basketball Academy, which is the camp that was instituted by the NCAA, right? And tell me, this year it was projected. You hosted the South region. There were 4 different regions. It was projected to be in South Carolina, I think at Winthrop, this coming June. And the Midwest region was going to be at Wichita State, which is actually closer. Why, in your opinion and your thoughts, why didn't it return to Houston if it was such a home run? Why did they take it away? And then also, why did it move so far for the South, all the way up to the top end of South Carolina, as opposed to maybe Dallas and New Orleans, something else?
I think it just It's a good question, first of all, Jim, but it was just a fairness. You have to bid for that. Chris Pegman and Tags here at University of Houston, our administration did a great job of getting involved in the bid process. We were involved with the whole way. And NCAA is very particular about the gyms, proximity to campus, hotels, airports, things like that. But I think if they wanted to build it in one site and have one site host it, Houston would certainly be in the conversation there. But they don't want one university to have an advantage on being able to have kids visit that site every year. So they're going to move it around. I don't think they'll ever have a university host it 2 consecutive years. They're going to let everybody get a little bite of that pie.
I think that one of the things that University of Virginia, the deal they got going with that NBA Top 100 camp, I don't think the NCAA wants a situation like that, where they just host it every single year. And
NBA.
That's an NBA. I don't think the NCAA wanted to go down that road that the NBA does at UVA's campus. They've had enough bigwig people complain about the unfair advantage that UVA gets by getting a chance to host that every year.
Well, that's 2 different camps we were talking about. You're talking about the Top 100 camp.
Yeah, I'm using that as an example of why they don't want one school just to host it every single year.
And actually this is a prime opportunity for the Players Association, who actually host the Top 100 camp in Virginia, to consider maybe removing it, because they've been thinking about it, but logistics and because headquarters is close to New York for the Players Association.
Sure.
It's easy for the staff to get there that are based in New York. That's according to one of the things, but they would save so much money if they moved it to a city with multiple airports, because there's no direct flights into Charlottesville, Virginia. And
I like the NBA camp because Tremont Mark played good there.
Led the camp in assists.
Coach, I got a couple of more before we get off. We can't let you off the air, you are Kellen, without talking about The Last Dance, what you think about Michael Jordan, and we can't let you get off the air without talking about James Harden. I know the affinity that you two have for each other. So we got 4 minutes left. Kevin can go back and forth.
I was Chris Paul in there too.
I ain't talking about no Chris Paul, man, right now. Jimmy, these two my questions. I don't want to talk Chris Paul. I don't want to talk Chris Paul. I like James Harden and I like Michael Jordan.
You see a thing on Coach chest? You see an emblem on Coach chest over there on Kellen's chest?
That's what I'm saying. Last Dance, the Jordan brand. We would be remiss without you talking about that. So what you got, Coach?
Well, my relationship with Michael goes back to when I was at Michigan State. And that's how we kind of got the Jordan thing really started rolling. Is when I was a grad assistant at Michigan State, my first year there, and understand, grad assistant for Judd Heathcote, who was the head coach at Michigan State. I was more of a glorified manager. I spent probably more time with the JV team, but I always liked going to practice every day because I got to see this 6'9" point guard with a big old puffball afro named Irvin Johnson. But that summer after his sophomore year, I remember going home, and I'm from North Carolina. Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina is about 70 miles from where I was born and raised. And they gave me an alphabetical list of names to call. And it was the first names. And so, you get for the A's, B's, all of a sudden you get down to the L, M. And so there's a bunch of Mikes. And one of the calls I made was this Mike Jordan. He had just come from basketball camp at North Carolina. He was actually talking about the summer he was talking about was the summer that I talked to him. But fast forward a few years, I saw him at every time I would go to Charlotte to play when I was with the Milwaukee Bucks. I would always see Mike, and Michael and I would always talk about that phone call. But when I was coach at Oklahoma, Mike had a fantasy camp. He always had it at the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas. and he had to pay $25,000 to go to the fantasy camp. And the coaches at the fantasy camp were his coaches that he liked. But also, if you were a college coach that had taken a team to the Final Four, you got invited to coach at this fantasy camp. And you got this swag bag. Now, I wish you could have seen this swag bag that you got from Michael. But I think I coached in, I can't remember, 2 or 3. Karen and I have had so many pictures made with Michael. I've got one of them up in my office, but that was at the Mirage in Las Vegas. And so Eric Lautenbach with Nike called me November of 2018 and said, you have to keep this quiet, but we just had a board meeting and we're going to add 2 schools to the Jordan brand. And we just, Michael has to okay all that. But the 2 schools they added was University of Houston and San Diego State University. But Jim's right. Chris Paul had just gotten to the Houston Rockets, and he was the guy. He was the guy, Jordan brand that they were going to play off. So whatever shoe that Chris was wearing was the shoe that we were going to wear. And San Diego State was Kawhi Leonard, and so Kawhi was a Jordan guy. Chris was a Jordan guy. And I had coached Chris on the USA team, so we had a relationship there. And then obviously mine with Michael. But that was how the Jordan brand deal came. It's all relationships, man. That's why relationships are important. As far as James is concerned, I think the thing that cemented our relationship was I coached him hard. I held him accountable. When I was coaching I coached the defense. And I had to get creative in how to get James to work on defense and practice. But anytime I had a competition, we're going to play a stops game. Whoever gets the first one to 3, the first one to 4. And I'd put James on the team with somebody I didn't think was very good. And he would hold them accountable. So, but our relationship blossomed from there. And there's probably not a month goes by that I don't talk with him or text with him.
And that's awesome detail, and we're about to land the plane on the Chop Shop. I mean, it's great dialogue, almost an hour of convo with Coach Kellen and Kelvin Sampson. But I want to make sure I insert one more important question in. Well, I think it's important, intriguing, because you mentioned about Kellen about how people want things, the campsites and stuff to move around, not be at the same place. So Ricky asks, why does the NCAA play-in game always stays in Dayton?
Geography. Geography. It's the middle of the country. It's the easiest place to get to. And Dayton has traditionally has always sold out that arena. That is one of the best jobs in the country that people don't know about. But the biggest reason is in the middle of the country. So if you're coming from the East Coast or the West Coast, you both have the equal number of miles to fly.
That's awesome.
Okay. Appreciate that. So last thoughts you want to leave the viewers with out there in regards to University of Houston or any of the topics that you might want to hit a nail one more time on the head, but feel free to do so at this time, Kelly.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. You guys are gatekeepers of the city and providing a platform just for us, for everybody to come and explain our side of the fence is huge and is crucial, and so that everybody has the right information at all times. One of the best parts about this gig is that there's so many people in this city that have a passion for basketball, and then have a passion to help young people and have a passion to keep moving this game forward. And so we're excited about what we got going and kind of the program that we're building and have built. But it's always going to be in conjunction with the city of Houston. I think if you look at our roster, we're doing something right if we keep getting the best kids in the city of Houston to want to say yes. And that's having a relationship with everything. Gayla Robinson came up with the slogan for the city. That was organic. It was him, and it was 1,000%. I think what our program needed, And I think, it's awesome that the city of Houston kind of got behind it, and that's what we try to live every day.
So what's the
What's
slogan
the
for this year?
But a lot of it is you too, Jim. I've known you for decades. I knew you when I was at Washington State. You're part of the grassroots history of this city. There's a generation of people that look at you now with the dude with the hat. They don't know where you started. We all came from somewhere. Now the problem is some people forget where they come from. They think some people are born on third base and think they hit a triple. That ain't the way life is. We all started in the dugout. And then sometimes you work your ass off, you get to home plate. If you're lucky, you can get to first base. And if you keep working and things go right and you're a good person, you may get to second. Then if you work hard, you get some breaks, you may get to third. You ain't never born on third now. You got to work to get there. And that's the thing I've always admired about you.
Well, definitely, man. I certainly appreciate it and appreciate both you guys and as well as the entire staff, Coach Brooks. I can't name the whole staff.
Badly.
It's because it's a whole,
Quanah's
it's a
White.
dozen.
Hollis
It's a
Price.
baker's dozen that he mentioned earlier. But I definitely, one of the things that I can say is that University of Houston, since they had a surge at the early 90s with Pat Foster when Alvin Coach Brooks was assistant at that time. That it was a surge, but the team didn't have this. Tim Moore came up in there, was on that team in the era. But since the Final Four, even that team wasn't top 25 in the country 3 years in a row. That team, this team that you have now, this program, the state. We applaud you guys for making University of Houston, making the logo, making the apparel, being a prized possession. Robert Hatter is a diehard Memphis fan. You know what shirt he had on the front.
But Jimmy, an alumni. I ain't a fan of nobody. Alumni. I just want to let you get the word straight. Keep going.
A diehard Memphis person. Hell, you can change the name whatever you want it to be. Matter of fact, if we had to bet what shirt he on, he might have an undershirt, a white beat up under there. What color it might be up under there. You got to and he's wearing a U of H shirt. That means I wear a U of H shirt, and I strolled back in the months and was strolled through the mall or the restaurants. People actually looking like, hey man, it's a cool shirt. Where you get one of those. I mean, that's what's happening right now. You're getting players, and of course, for you guys that tuned in late and may not understand why we did not bring up the names of certain players who may have just recently committed to U of H, is because NCAA guidelines. It prevents coaches from speaking about prospects who have yet to sign a letter of intent or scholarship papers. So they can't talk about them. So I didn't want to encourage them to, but we'll wrap that in. And one thing we can let you leave with, we would be remiss if we did not give you the opportunity to share your thoughts about Tremont Mark, who is signed and will be coming to the as part of the U of H program. When does he enroll in summer classes? What should we expect from Tremont this season? And you can land the plane yourself on that one, Coach.
Yeah, Tremont's first of all, he's going to be playing with an outstanding group of guards. We've got some good guards, but Tremont will make his own mark. I think Tremont might be as good an all-around guard as we've had coming in since we've been here. His greatest strength is he doesn't have any weaknesses. Now, what's his weakness? Well, maybe it's because he doesn't have one great strength. But that's why he chose to come to Houston. We're going to develop him. I'm excited about how good he's going to be. June 1st is when first summer session starts. I was just on the phone with Tremont the other day. We're going to have a meeting on Sunday night, May 31st, right, Kellen?
Yes, sir.
And we'll obviously we're going to be in the all the all the CDC guidelines with the pandemic stuff that we'll make sure we adhere to. But we're going to have a meeting. We're going to be able to work with our kids starting that week, but we've got a lot of health things we've got to get through first as far as testing and that kind of thing. But the month of June will be more one-on-one workouts because of the pandemic. But I think a lot of things hopefully will get relaxed in the month of July and we can start banding our kids together. But this is going to be a big summer for Tramon. I expect Tramon to impact winning for our team next year. I think he's going to be an outstanding player here for a long time.
Hey man, thanks again a bunch, of course.
Real quick, I got to get a picture. Buckets was just texting me.
Hey,
Buckets was just texting me.
give a shout out to
T.
Tanya
Buckets.
Sampson. I didn't know if she was, I mean, I know you guys like to keep certain things secluded and under the wraps, but we definitely going to get her back on the Chop Shop pretty soon after. It's an old analogy. I know as I see Coach Sampson use a bunch of analogies. In dominoes, we say, or in the urban community, we say after she big six, or after she domino. After she dominoes, then we're going to get her back in there.
Hey,
so you guys know what that means out there is watching the Chop.
4 weeks tomorrow. 4 weeks. We are 4 weeks tomorrow from Kylan Ned Sampson being born. So she's ready. She's ready.
Hey, guess what? It's gonna be on and popping. And hey, we have another addition to the tree, and of course the one that you have right now is taking the fan base by storm. She runs the whole. If you ever been to
Coach
game.
Sampson, Grandpa gonna have a prop. I don't know how you gonna. Maze ain't gonna like that attention you gonna get. I'm telling you, man.
Maisie thinks Papa's her best friend.
Yes.
That's right.
So, man, thanks a bunch, guys, for tuning in to Chop Shop. Thanks for you guys for watching the Chop Shop. I mean, a great way to start the week off. And make sure you guys be safe out there on this Memorial Day. And I got to get over to the cemetery myself. Of course, Jimmy Hicks Jr. was in the military in the Army and went over to Korea back in the days. I got to go over there, pay my dues, my respects. But also, guys, want you guys to have a happy and safe holiday on behalf of a lot of our veterans. And once again, today's show is dedicated in memory of Eddie Sutton, longtime head coach in the, around the various schools, but most notable in the South was Oklahoma State. So thanks a bunch on behalf of Robert Hatter. This is myself, Jim Hicks. It's time to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing. See you guys on tomorrow. Big guest tomorrow. Hell of a conversation we're going to have with one of the dons of grassroots basketball. We got Gary Charles. You think, hey, matter of fact, let me go reach in the back of my closet and get because I might have changed lids. I may change lids like Beyonce changes during concert. I'm going to tell you, he don't come on this show tomorrow and I'll do me tomorrow. And meanwhile, I'm going to go and turn this into the midday sports happy hour. I'm about to go put something real in this cup in a minute. Coach, we see you guys
for the city.
Tomorrow. Peace.
Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter, you are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro, let's get it. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop.